G'day. Welcome back to my channel. I'm the survivor from Down Under. For 30 years, I was caught in a web of narcissistic abuse, a prisoner to a toxic relationship. But I broke free. I won't lie. It's hard, but you can do it too. You are already doing the right thing by watching videos like this. It's about understanding tactics and manipulation. That's the first step to your freedom. So you're having a crack. That's awesome. Give yourself a pat on the back. Over the next 10 minutes or so, I'll outline the tactics I experienced with examples. So you ready? Let's get into it. First up, I just want to briefly shine a light on narcissism itself. It's a term that's thrown around a lot, but what does it really mean? I'm talking about narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD. It's more than just being self-centered or vain. This is a serious psychological disorder where someone has this massively inflated sense of self-importance. They believe they are superior to others. They crave admiration like it's oxygen. And as for empathy for others, forget it. They don't have it. It's like the outback, a large empty space. They will be cold and indifferent to the feelings of others around them. As narcissism is on a spectrum, the types and levels of narcissistic behavior will differ. You may have encountered someone that always needs to be the center of attention all the time, who can't handle even the slightest criticism, who turns everything into a drama like a dramatic episode of Home and Away. And they are playing the leading role. That's what you will experience with a narcissist. It's hard to get your head around the behavior. It's totally normal not to be able to comprehend their behavior as you are a caring person without NPD. Stay with me now. Next up, we look at the tactics and examples. The crazy mind-bending tactics I went through. 1. Gaslighting. This, a common tactic, was a form of psychological manipulation that was used to twist facts or deny events that happened to make me doubt my reality. For example, she would use the classic, "That never happened that way," and then proceeded to give me a convincing recollection about how she perceived it to have happened. After a while, I seriously would start to question my own memory. 2. Jealousy or possessiveness. Sometimes there would be signs of intense jealousy, accusing me of prioritizing others. I would even be accused of putting my job first, even when there was no logical basis for these claims. There would be times when a mate would ask for a hand, and she would go and organize something else for the same time, and when we would have a discussion, trying to find a compromise, she would tell me I was always putting my friends first. I would eventually give in, didn't help my mate, and did what she wanted. Later she would say, "You know you could have helped your mate. It wasn't that important, we had to do my thing. We could have rearranged things." Knowing that's not what transpired, I would start going over what happened in my head, trying to make sense of it. That was the gaslighting at work. 3. Using intimacy as a weapon. Using intimacy as a form of control, a way to reward or punish me, it created a dynamic where affection felt conditional. She would use just about every excuse why she wasn't interested, making me go to great lengths to try and impress her with romantic dinners and gifts, which still led to disappointment when the fake promise of "I'll make it up to you tonight" or "when we get home" never eventuated. Towards the end of the relationship, I just stopped trying, which was also used against me as I no longer got excited by the fake promises. She would then use this against me saying, "I'm always trying and you never seem interested." 4. Playing the victim. Whenever we would have a Barney, you know, those big arguments, she would masterfully shift blame entirely onto me. Somehow, she always managed to portray herself as the victim. I would simply ask her to let me know when she got to town, a text or a call, as it's nearly an hour's drive, which included black dirt roads from our home in regional outback Australia. She repeatedly wouldn't, and when I called her to check as I would get worried, she would apologize, "Oh, sorry, hun, I forgot." This happened every time she went to town, and after weeks of this repeatedly happening, I raised the subject and expressed how worried I would get that she may have broken down or had an accident with a kangaroo or something, and she instantly turned it around saying, "Aren't I allowed to forget things?" And then invalidated my feelings saying, "You're not normal and you are too oversensitive." Also adding, I was being controlling. 5. Undermining or sabotaging my success. I have evolved my career over the years but had setbacks and changed jobs. Looking back, I can now acknowledge I wasn't supported. She would subtly downplay my success or find ways to overshadow it. If I'd had a tough day at work and simply be discussing what had happened, she then would accuse me of always dumping my problems onto her. It left me feeling unsupported and like I couldn't share anything with her. On the flip side, I'd listen intently about her achievements and problems while never being allowed to share mine. 6. Overbearing parenting style. While our kids were still at home, I always seemed to let her dominate parenting decisions. She would marginalize my role while always seeming to portray herself as the better parent. If the kids had done something wrong, I would be the parent expected to discipline the kids, handing out the punishments while she was always the one taking them out and being the parent that was rewarding the kids. She would then use this at the dinner table and say that she was the fun parent and I was the grumpy one, which inevitably would start a fight, and she would say, "Oh, you took that the wrong way," or "I was only joking around," again making me look like the crazy oversensitive one. 7. Using financial control. She would leverage financial control to exert her dominance. As she had an accounting background, I trusted her with our finances. We were well off, living in my company paid home with all expenses paid for, both earning good incomes, and with the kids grown up and not living at home, there was no reason we should have been doing it tough. Whenever I would spend money on my hobby, I would get questioned about it, adding that we were a bit short, and I needed to discuss all purchases with her. While this would be normal when you have a lot of expenses, we were in a different situation with most major expenses paid for by the company, which included a car. So it was puzzling as to why we were short and why we couldn't afford it. But it turned out, after our separation, I found out she had a secret bank account and that her salary was going there, and I was paying for everything including loan debts, groceries, restaurant outings, and any other purchases. 8. Triangulation. This is where she would bring others into it. She would pit others against me, say things like, "John at work is such a darling to his wife. He looks after her so well." No matter what efforts I went to for the relationship, I always felt I was not enough. She'd also have male friends over for dinner, but talk about stuff I didn't know about, which excluded me from the conversation. I often felt uneasy, but would not say anything. Although angry at times, I just didn't want another Barney. 10. Unrealistic expectations. It didn't matter what I did, nothing seemed good enough. The bar was always being raised. I'd mow our lawns, wash the cars, water the plants, feed the animals while also working full-time. I'd also do the shopping on the way home, then cook dinner, but then I would get told it wasn't fair that she had to do the washing, which made me feel guilty that she had done it, leaving me feeling I should be doing that too. And guess what? I ended up doing the washing as well. 11. Disregarding boundaries. This one started out small with a few tests on my boundaries, but evolved into some pretty big relationship crimes. I was already not comfortable with the amount of male friends she had, but was always being told they were just friends. The more I let it go, the more she pushed, having lunch or dinner with them while I was at work. When I found out about this, I expressed that I was upset and not comfortable with that, but it always ended in a big Barney. She would say, "Aren't I allowed to have friends?" Or, "What's wrong with you? Normal people have friends, you know." This behavior, however, continued and just got worse. Until something was really wrong. I finally started to work things out. I found out things I wish I hadn't, the kind of stuff you can't forget. This led to the darkest time of my life and signaled the beginning of the end of the relationship. But I still tried for another 11 months. It's tough hearing all this, right? It might be striking a nerve or a realization of your situation. All these tactics are used in what I call the NAC, narcissistic abuse cycle. It's what gets you trapped, which can even lead to a trauma bond. What I can say is, knowing what I know now, having been through the NAC, take away this. 1. Always trust your gut. 2. Start standing your ground and protect your boundaries. 3. Don't be afraid to seek support from friends, family, or professionals. Even though you are probably feeling isolated at the moment, it is so important. Your perception is valid. You are not alone in this. Keep researching, watching videos, gain knowledge, stand firm in your truth, and reclaim your reality. Knowledge is your power, mate. Break free. You can do it. So, what do you reckon? If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Your happiness matters. Knowledge is the key to your freedom and a better life. And remember, believe in yourself. See ya.